Welcome back to Too Real. Two truths and a lie. Three stories. Two actually happened. One is completely made up. Your job is to figure out which one. This week, every story is about the same thing: a system, a camera, an algorithm, an AI, making a decision about a real person without them ever agreeing to it. And in every case, the question isn't just real or fake. The question is, when the system decides something about you without your knowledge or consent, and you find out the hard way, who's actually responsible?
As we go through each story, think about two things. Is it real or fake? And who's actually accountable when the system gets things wrong? Or when it never had to explain itself in the first place?
No right answers, just gut reactions. Let's get into it. If you're new, subscribe now. We do this every Monday. Two real, two truths, and a lie.
Of course, conveniently, you get a little scratch as soon as we go to that. So let's go to story number one. Am I the asshole for being furious that my own car turned me into a tracking device I never agreed to? I need someone to tell me if I'm overreacting because everyone in my life thinks I am. A few weeks ago, I read an article about a new surveillance technology being added to license plate cameras, the kind mounted at intersections and along highways. Apparently, this new system doesn't just autograph your plate anymore, it also scans for the Bluetooth and Wi Fi signals coming off your phone, your AirPods, your smartwatch, even your car's own infotainment system. It links all of that to your license plate, building what the company calls itself an electronic fingerprint of everything you're carrying. And I didn't actually, okay, so then I didn't actually think much of this until I looked into what devices were broadcasting from my own car. And then I found it was my phone, my AirPods, which live were live in my cup holder. So my AirPods, my phone, live broadcasting from my cup holder, my watch, my car's built-in hotspot, without into anything was on a form. Every single one of those was potentially being swept up by these cameras every time I drove by one. I called the local police department to ask if this technology was being used in my area. They wouldn't confirm or deny it, but they also didn't say no. I asked if I could opt out. They said there's no opt out. These are public roads, public cameras, and the devices are broadcasting publicly available signals. I brought this up at my family dinner and basically got laughed at. My brother said I sounded like I was wearing a tinfoil hat. My mom said if I'm not doing anything wrong, I shouldn't care who's tracking me. My husband thinks I'm spiraling over something that doesn't actually affect my day-to-day life. But here's the issue. I never agreed to any of this. I didn't sign up for a service. I didn't click accept any terms. I just drove to the grocery store in my own car with my own phone in my own cup holder, and somewhere along the way, a private defense contractor camera may have built a profile correlating my phone, my car, my watch, and my driving patterns, all without me ever being told, let alone asked. I started leaving my phone at home for short errands. My husband thinks that I'm overreacting to a problem that barely affects me. I think the fact that I have to change my behavior at all for something I never consented to is actually the problem. So, am I the asshole for being upset about something no one else in my life seems to care about? Oh, you're muted.
Technology. Love to use it, hate all the spying. Some are indifferent to the spying. That's it's tough. That is all of
Well,
it.
Okay, I think what bothers me is how much other people don't care. And this is the thing is, okay, I get it. You don't have anything to hide. I get this. But you don't know who's collecting this data, and they're setting them up. And it's actually interesting because I was watching some cameras being set up in a community, and they were talking about this system being installed in their community, and that they called them the flock cameras. So if you've heard about that, I believe this story might be referencing those. And those cameras are even put in bad places. So they were explaining about like on the highway roads and where signs are allowed, there's certain areas that are safer, and then they also have like certain built-in mechanisms so if you run into them they break. But those things aren't existing on these cameras that are now being put in places by private contractors who are now able to collect this data. And there should be some concern because you did not agree to it. It's very much like, it reminds me of the stories of the DNA being collected, right? So
Oh,
people who just thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna go do the 23andMe or whatever it's called. I don't know what those, like any of those companies that were doing DNA testing and
yeah,
giving you
yeah.
your thing, that now that data is being used by police and officials. And then we were questioning whether they're using AI in that data appropriately, right?
Well, remember when Google started first driving around the Google Maps cars?
Yeah.
And Google was they were not doing anything that could have been done before. They were using cameras off the shelf and open source like environment detectors. And one thing that they picked up was literally all the Wi-Fi networks. And if they were free, like they just log like the sensors were on and they were just logging everything, and that stuff became um, public knowledge because it was like, oh, hey, your house at your street number on your street, your house number on your street, this Wi-Fi network is attached to it. Like it was all public knowledge, right? And oh, what's the big deal? Well, now you have an identifier that this Wi-Fi is open. Like back in the days when it was even open Wi-Fi, like a lot of people didn't even have passwords on their Wi-Fi, right? So just like what data was, back then, what data was Google Maps cars sniffing and picking up automatically?
Exactly. And all this collecting of data, at what point it just makes me go, where's the end to it, right? Like it does, and it does get overwhelming. So I get that why people at some point shut down, because it does get like, it's very much like eating and buying things that are clean. It becomes so overwhelming. Thing is lying, that even a product that's seed has hidden things that aren't so good because everything's inundated, and you just start going down a uh, a hole of just, there you go, right? And at this, you didn't get to opt in. I don't blame them. um I guess, what do you think the verdict is, Mike?
Well, she's definitely not the asshole, but it is good to know about um, the plate. Like, it's good to know when to use, like, just what is around you. It's like going to the Apple store or going to those Amazon stores where they know exactly where you are because they're using like Bluetooth beacons to track you in the store. They know exactly, like, if you don't realize this stuff's going on, most of these big okay, I'm gonna mute myself here.
Mhm. Well, as he's looking into that, and hopefully he'll come back to his idea, but I'm gonna go over, like, I don't think you're the verdict, or the verdict is not you're an asshole, because I think you're actually seeing something that other people probably should care a little bit more about. Like, why do we not care about what and who is watching our stuff and collecting our data, right? So some of the verdicts, some of the stuff on the overall reviews was not the asshole, of course. She never consented to anything. Devices broadcast by default. She drove on a public road, and a private company is now building a trackable profile of her without her knowledge. The system failed to ask permission. She didn't fail to protect herself. And that's true. Becoming aware of it made it her going and wanting to protect herself. And that was the truth. I believe Mike is back. Are you back and are you good now? Oh. Okay, try again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay. Let's hopefully. No, let's go.
Let's go. Well, I was just saying that essentially the verdict overall, because she was attempting to, you know, the system failed to ask for permission. She didn't fail to protect herself. There was a little bit of like, we a little bit have to take responsibilities because Bluetooth and Wi-Fi do broadcast publicly. So legitimately anybody can do it anywhere, can kind of watch that, right?
Did you
So
know
we
that
have to be aware of that.
It's like if you didn't know this, if you have your AirDrop turned on to accept packet AirDrop, like if you're in the Apple iPhone ecosystem, and you have AirDrop turned on to everybody, people could randomly just drop files to you if you're in the vicinity. So it's like technology is great, but there's all these caveats to it, and hopefully
Yes.
you'll learn a caveat that enrages you like this.
Well, and when I with this type of system, my intention, my hope is that they're not all interconnected everywhere and talking, and that's hopefully it's just one private person who doesn't talk to this one. But we'll have to see how that all rolls out, right? There was also the comment she could have known her device's broadcast identifiers and taken a bit sooner. That is true, right? And there is no federal law currently addressing this. So it is a problem regardless of her personal habits. The scariest comment, and I think I had highlighted it here, the top comment, the scariest part is that the technology exists and that there is no out, no opt out. That being tracked isn't a setting you can turn off or on. It's a default state of existing in public with a phone or any type of Wi-Fi device in your hand, in your pocket, right?
And there's other examples of this that we didn't even discuss.
Exactly. So I'm going to put that there. Drop in the comment. One of these stories tonight is fake. I'm not bamboozling you tonight. So one is fake, but that's our first story. The no opt out tracked by default. So again, just that summary. She's literally furious because they're spying on everything that she's traveling with as she travels around her community and city, and they're watching and possibly picking up her signals and tracking her. So that is our first story. Let's go to our second story tonight. And this one, let me get back down here. This one is, am I the asshole for telling my friend the truth about why she got rejected from 5 jobs in 1 week? I might have made things worse by being honest, and now I'm wondering if I should have kept my mouth shut. My friend had been job hunting for about 2 months. Sharp, qualified, great resume, strong interview skills when she actually gets to talk to a human. 2 weeks ago, she applied to 5 different companies in the same industry, all within about 4 days of each other. By the following week, she'd been rejected from all 5. Automated rejection emails, no feedback, no interview, nothing. She was devastated. She started questioning her resume, her experience, whether she was ever qualified for this field, and or if she was even qualified for this field anymore. She rewrote her resume 3 times in 1 week, trying to figure out what was wrong with it. I work adjacent to HR systems through my job, so I happen to know something she didn't, and that she didn't. A lot of companies in the same industry use the exact same third-party AI screening vendor to do first-round resume filtering. Not the same company, different employers, but the same algorithm underneath, reading and scoring the same resumes the same way across all of them. So I told her, I don't think it's your resume. I think one algorithm read your resume once, scored it low for whatever reason, and the same scoring effectively followed you to all 5 companies because they're all using the same system. You didn't get 5 independent chances. You may have gotten one chance 5 times. She did not take this well. Not because she didn't believe me. She actually looked into it after we talked and found out it was true. And 2 of the 5 companies even used the identical vendor. She said now she feels worse, not better. Before, she thought the problem was fixable. Fix the resume, get different results. Now she feels there might be nothing she can personally do because rejection isn't really about her resume at all. It's about a score she has no visibility. She has no visibility into seeing and no way to contest. So she told me she almost would have preferred not knowing, that at least she would have thought it was just her resume and she felt like she had some control. Her sister thinks I overstepped by bringing this up at all, that I should have let her just keep editing her resume and feeling like she had agency instead of telling her something true to look that took that feeling away. So am I the asshole for telling her the truth about something she can't actually fix?
How could you be the asshole for telling her that the system's rigged?
I think this is the whole thing, is like to feel guilty about telling somebody what is going on truthfully and then for the sister to put on that guilt. Like they're clearly.
Well, is it anything unlike my consulting where I tell somebody, oh, here is how insecure you are, and then they take it offensive because, they were using whatever. Somebody else told them they were great. I disagree, you know. So, um, I didn't really know about this though until because we had a similar story last week where it was about the LinkedIn algorithm, right? And then of course I didn't even this factor didn't even come up until you asked me about it. That is like I have not applied. I've been self-employed for 2 decades. I have not actually um, worked on a resume or applied for any jobs, so I wouldn't even know this was happening.
Well, one of the things I read around it, and one of the things that came up was noted that there. I cannot confirm or deny. And again, the story could be real or fake, so keep that in mind. I heard through the grapevine that it was 330 days of having that score. So, whatever score was attached to you in that time, it makes me wonder, okay, if it's attached to you for 330 days, what day does that end from? Is it from the last resume you sent? Does it restart on each resume? Like how does that actually work? And, if you get the same scoring, even if you change the resume and you can't,
What
seems like a
I
process
I,
doomed
I,
against humans.
I will say though I have noticed just because I saw somebody I know got a new job. And I was like, hey, I got like similar experience to this person. So I'm just going to go look at the job board just for knowledge because, again, I haven't done a resume in 20 years, been a while. And when I was doing research in this one particular field, I found jobs at different institutions in that field, and all the job boards look the same. Which then for me, I'm like, okay, they're probably all using the same thing. They're all using the same system.
And if the system grades you highly, that first resume, you're winning. And if it does not, for whatever reason, because we don't even know how it grades, you won't have any of those companies none of them will be calling you back. Right. So we again have a situation that I think shows where companies cutting costs is actually going to be detrimental to the company as well, because you're losing good quality people you're not even interviewing because your AI has screened them out. And it's like, and what can AI say? Well, it's very much like, it makes me think of what's coming up now is that the AI bots, to see if like writings or whatever are AI, are starting to determine that there is writings that are completely 100% human but saying they're AI. So we can't even trust that it is actually able to competently assess these things. So these AIs are running assessments on your resume, assessments on your DNA, assessments on all these things, but we're consistently seeing that they're not trustworthy. And there needs to be more human intervention to verify what they're doing. So I would say these companies are losing out, and it's got to really suck because how are you going to win against something that you don't know what you even did wrong and why the AI rejected your resume to begin with, right?
Yeah, correct. You wouldn't even. So I don't think her sister's an asshole for telling her, but then I think she's she's the asshole for not realizing that. You know what? It's.
It hurt
I
her
don't.
feelings.
I'm not
It hurt
envious
her
of it.
feelings. I get that
For,
because, well, what she did is she broke a level of cognitive dissonance because she wanted to believe she could change the outcome. And then she found she's working on something that she has utter control of. So then that makes me think that you have to start thinking outside the box. So in her situation, that makes me think I need to personally know who's in charge and find a way to meet with them in real life. Right? So now I'm thinking the only way around this is going back to of human on human intervention and interviews where you go and bring your resume and say, oh, I submitted it through the AI, and then come with the information. Giving everybody these same scores, or not even, just start stalking them. No, go stalk them. Just go stalk them. So the verdict overall is she was not told her friend something true and verifiable that it was actually happening. Knowing the real cause, uncomfortable one, is more themselves of a system failure. Exactly, like you're gonna feel guilt, but like later, not on yourself, right? Some of their comments were a little bit of like, sometimes people need to feel like they have control, so a little bit like you might be a little asshole-ish, especially if they need the full truth. Hear agency, even though what made it feel worse. So that is a cost, right? But I don't know. I think, suck it up, buttercup, especially if it's the truth. Like, we got to get better at ripping off that Band-Aid and moving past it than being emotionally drained by the truth. Because, well, okay, if we emotionally drained, we're not going to make the process to get around whatever these problems are because we're stuck in that emotional energy, right?
Okay, fair enough.
It was a little bit, information was true, and there's a better way to deliver it, so maybe done it, right? That was the only other kind of side comment about her maybe a bit. She give her the information shit sandwich, the good and then the good. I don't, but again, I don't know how to put that
But if
sandwich
you're not that type of
if
you're not that type of person, you're not giving me shit sandwiches. So
no, I'm
isn't that
definitely not. I'm not gonna cover it. I'm not gonna put some potpourri on that for you. So, and then the top comments was, this is hard to scare everyone on job hunting now. You might be getting 5 chances when you apply to 5. You might not be getting 5 chances when you apply to 5 companies. You might be getting the same algorithm opinion of you. Know it, right? It doesn't work to your benefit. It's attack you, and can you? Is it to escape with that? And that is terrible. Again, is that real? As we finish up story 2. So let's continue. Do you have any other comments on that?
No, I'm that it's enlightening to know that could be happening. Is it a lie or truth? We'll find out.
Exactly, we will. We got our last story though. Last story here, and then we'll reveal. So our third evening, am I the asshole for being stuck at checkout while the system decided I was stealing before I even finished scanning? I need someone else to tell me if I'm overreacting here. I shop the same grocery store every week. Self-checkout. I have a bad knee, and standing in regular lines for 20 minutes isn't worth it. 3 weeks ago, I'm at self-checkout with my cart. My knee is already aching that day, so I was more than having to shift my weight. Pause between items. I was maybe 2/3 through scanning my cart when the screen suddenly froze. Not the scanner, screen. A message popped up. Please remain at the station. Associate will be notified. I hadn't even finished. I had items still in the cart. I hadn't paid. I hadn't done anything except scan slower than usual that day. I'd never had a problem at self-checkout before. I didn't even know what was I didn't even know this was something that could happen. If anything, I assumed that if you took way too long, the worst would happen is someone would come over and ask you to help. I didn't know the system could flag you mid-transaction before you even gotten you pay. So now I'm stuck. Can't finish checking out. Keys. Cart half scanned. Watch light on top of the kiosk turn red. People are starting to notice. Line is forming behind me at the only other open self-checkout. I can feel people glancing over. An employee comes over and tells me first thing that the system flagged my scan because it thinks I may have missed an item, meaning I didn't scan something and I didn't put it in the bag. She pulls up the digital list of what I'd scanned on the tablet and compares it against what actually sitting in the bag area. Everything matched. Every scanned was an item in the bag, nothing extra, nothing missing. She said she cleared the alert without reviewing the camera footage on the checkout terminal itself. The camera mounted right on the unit, so I had to stand there while she pulled up and reviewed the footage in front of everyone in line behind me, looking for whatever the system it saw. The footage showed nothing, no concealed scan, nothing unusual. Her best guess, and I'm quoting her here, is that it was probably how slowly I was moving made the system play it as suspicious. Even though the list matched perfectly and the footage showed nothing wrong, it took almost 15 minutes. 15 minutes of standing in pain, handing groceries in front of me, while a stranger watched footage of me begging my own milk and bread, looking for evidence of something that, by every actual measure, never happened. Eventually, she apologized and let me finish scanning and pay. No real explanation, just your speed. You're cleared, you can go. I used to genuinely enjoy my weekly grocery trip. It was one of those small, simple outings I looked forward to. Now I find myself hesitant to go back. I keep thinking about standing there frozen with people watching, wondering if I'm the woman who got caught stealing. I didn't do anything wrong, and I still can't shake how it felt. My husband says it was probably just a glitch and not worth dwelling on it. I think being frozen mid-transaction and treated as a suspect thief in public when the list matched and the footage showed nothing deserves more than it was probably your speed. So am I the asshole for still being upset about this?
No, I don't think you're the asshole because I've been caught in that situation. I'm not muted, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not muted. Okay. No, because I haven't had this issue in Canada per se, but I know for sure at like Walmart in the United States, if I wasn't scanning too slow, but when I scanned the item, I put it right into the cart because it was heavy. And they don't; those self scanner checkouts do not. They're expecting an item is scanned and the weight is added to the bagging area. Didn't know that. And of course, the little light went on. You missed something. Nobody was with me. But I had to wait for the little, self
The
checkout.
bars are going
I had to watch for the
down.
self checkout magician. They reviewed it. They're like, you can't put stuff. I think I had diesel exhaust fluid. Like it was like I had 5 or 6 items, cart scanned. I'm not gonna put the diesel exhaust fluid in the bagging area because it's too heavy. It's gonna go in the cart. So I was like, okay, now I know I will set off the self scanning police. So it happens even to people who aren't slow, just ignorance. No,
All I can say is that it bugs
happened to
me.
me.
I feel like we should have more. I would rather have somebody else than these scanners that then creepily again, they're just recording us, just more data on us for the future because they're seeing us do the transaction. Because, having the receipt in the system and having credit card or banking information that they access is just not intrusive enough, right? You got to have the cameras, and you got to take away the people, which often doesn't actually save them money because some of their systems they'll have such issues with that they're constantly hiring people to come and fix these self checkouts as well.
Yeah.
And stealing is up. Stealing is up substantially because of the self checkouts. So they legitimately, I feel like it's counter what the business wants.
Well, I know I've done retail support. Like I've done a lot of retail support in my cybersecurity, like a lot. And I know those self checkout machines are expensive and they break down all the time. And especially the ones that will take cash and like issue change back, those are like so it's you're just like the store won't hire cashiers, but they'll spend those self checkout machines aren't thousands; they're hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I know, because when we were talking about it a few years ago, I believe it was worth equivalent of like 5 different people's salaries, right, or something like that.
But you're like, is it really there to replace an employee, or is it there really as a tracking mechanism to just see, like, you're really just is there really just camera footage? We are some of our other stores have talked about, hey, Wi-Fi broadcasting and Bluetooth broadcasting.
Well, and again, a lot of people talk about the real-time pricing. What is that called? Where you're literally can be walking through the store.
Oh, sir, it's like surge pricing or something.
Yeah.
And
so it digitally knows where you are, and the prices can change based on
it
who's
knows what
looking
price
at
you're
the
willing
item.
to pay because you've already bought in that store before.
And then I was thinking, if you got into jam and you really need to pick something up and you paid too much for it that one time, that's going to haunt you forever, right? Like this,
100%.
so it like way more questions than anything else, right? And so I would say the verdict from myself, I say she's not the asshole. What about,
I don't.
I'm assuming.
I was gonna make a joke. I have no problem if Dollar Tree takes me as a penny buyer and just makes everything a penny, but because it happened yesterday. But
Yeah. Okay. So if it works, which I don't think it really works as much that way, but if it does work on like what's the lowest you're gonna pay, and like my husband found penny egg rolls at the Dollar Tree, and so he bought them, and so that was not
wasn't even I wasn't even looking for penny items. I'm just like, oh, it's a penny. Hamster wheel turns. I'm like, hey, I should go pick more up. So anyway, she's not the asshole. How is she? As I said, technology is convenience, but it's like a double-edged sword because with the convenience comes a lot of embarrassing situations, embarrassing realizations.
Exactly.
That we've already talked about tonight.
Well, and the verdict overall was that she was not the answer, not the asshole. She paid for everything. She was still scanning. The digital list matched the bagging area perfect. The footage shows nothing. She didn't do anything wrong, but still being treated like a suspect in front of a line of strangers. The system does owe you more than probably it was your speed, right? Like, we're kind of tired of that. And yeah, it was a glitch. The employees apologized. The situation did get resolved within 15 minutes, but again, you can't get that time back, right? And nothing was actually taken from her except some time and some embarrassment. Holding on to this and avoiding the grocery store altogether is giving the algorithm more power than it actually has. And that's a good point, right? Like you're harboring and letting go of that energy. But now but it does suck. I don't disagree. And the system flagged an innocent person with zero real explanation, which is legitimate failure worth being upset about. And she isn't letting one uncomfortable 15-minute experience, but you are letting one uncomfortable 15-minute experience reshape an entire weekly habit. So both can be true. The system failed, but you are but maybe letting it go, right? I find it interesting because it was very much like I was dealing with AI, and it's been acting very strange recently. And there was a couple times today it specifically gave me a message that whatever I was asking for was completely inappropriate. It didn't follow guidelines. It was literally like gave me that all these warning bells came up, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And as soon as I asked it the second question, it was like, oh, you're right. It somehow accidentally triggered this warning, and I'm like, that made no
It's
sense.
triggered. It's just triggered for being triggered sake. So
It was just triggered, right? So then that's the thing, right? Is that that's how technology is kind of working at this point, right? The top comment on this one is the scariest part isn't that it happened once. It's that nobody, not the employee, not the manager or corporate, could actually explain why the system flagged her. Probably your speed is the best explanation, right? It's very much like, we don't know what rating
she
you've
was
got
being
for your
shifty.
resume. We don't know how it's determining anything. We're just following the commands of our overlord that is now giving us these outputs.
I was gonna say she's being shifty because she shifted her weight, and that machine didn't like it. She's
it
going
was a
too slow.
it was a perfect
Her
response.
weight, so it's just like whatever. They're robots. They're gonna hurt our feelings, and we have no recourse.
And that is true. That's true until we decide to have that. Like humans have to want that, right? And that's the point. That's why we talk about these stories is to give us perspective of what is happening. But before we continue, I want to reach out. Hello, Mind Mystique. Thanks for joining. And so now we're at the time where now we've gone through each of the stories, and it is time to decide which is real and which is fake. So, Mike, your part.
Hey, 3 stories. One is completely made up. Story 1. Am I the asshole for being furious that my own car turned me into a tracking device I never agreed to? Story 2. Am I the asshole for telling my friend the truth about why she got rejected from 5 jobs in 1 week? Story 3. Am I the asshole for getting stuck at self checkout while the system decided I was stealing? Lock it in. Drop your answer in the chat. Which one is the lie? If you're new, subscribe now and hit the bell for notifications so you know when we go live. We do this show every Monday night.
Okay, Mike, what is your guess?
Oh, you know what? I think since I've already experienced story 1, I think it's true. uh, um, I'm gonna say I think the lie is story. I'm just hoping it's story 2. I'm hoping. I'm hoping based on the fact that I have not applied for jobs recently, and I'm hoping that if I go apply for a job, I'm going to be just tainted material from the first application.
Mind Mystique is going with number 1 with the car and being watched where they are. Okay, so are you guys ready for the reveal? Why don't you do a little drum roll, Mike? And the lie this week is actually story 3. I could not find a story where this happened to them. There's all these other reasons people have had that happen, but
To me,
not from being
it's true. It's true.
slow.
Happened
So
to
it
me.
has, and
It has to be true.
this is the fine line between it being true and not true, right? And that it does resonate with things we've had happen in our own lives and we've had variations of. This one thus far has not. However, it would not surprise me if that was to happen, that the system starts going based on your normal average speed. This time you're shopping and your speed is different, either faster or slower. And so it notices it and then it just starts spying on you more, right? Because that's really where we're going.
True. Plus, I know when you're like using anything like an ATM or whatever, like if you're going too slow, that thing just times out. Right? It had times out. I think it prepared that. I was like, wow, okay. How do normal people, how do senior citizens use some of these systems? Because I know they're going to be confused.
Well, and that's come up a lot. I've heard people going about like the push that you have to have a smart device to access things, right? And then like a lot of seniors don't want to use them or didn't have them, right?
Literally how any of our parents end up with phones. Like you think about, my parents have a phone. The only reason my parents got a phone is like, oh, you need to like, you cannot shop at the store without collecting the points card.
And you can
And
no
then,
longer get a physical card that they track.
no, because it has to be a freaking app that updates every week, and you can't. Oh wait, remember, you're out of your postal code. You can't use your points.
Exactly. So we've been playing this game for 9 weeks now. 2 truths and a lie. And every episode, there's been a fake, except for last week where I kind of tricked you guys. A story written to sound real, but wasn't because the format needed that. This week, the lie was the most plausible thing we've probably written because everything underneath it is also true. We got the license plate cameras built to scrap your phone and to like your phone and your data and all of that from your phone, your AirPods, your car, even your pet microchips is what I'm talking about. And there's no way to opt out. You exist and your Wi-Fi signals are going off. It's going to be taken, the data. We have a Stanford study that really did prove that the same handful of AI vendors are quietly deciding who gets hired across the entire job market, and that some people are getting rejected everywhere by the same system without ever knowing it. And then, the woman frozen mid checkout, accused of theft by an algorithm before she even paid, isn't a documented case, but it's not far off from the technology that we had exist, like your own experiences you've had.
Mm-hmm.
We just haven't found the receipts yet. So, it might have happened to other people, it just hasn't been online. Did you get it this week?
Huh?
Did you get this week? That's what you're supposed to ask.
Oh my.
2 truths, 1 lie.
I'm waiting for the next knock on the door. So sorry.
Okay.
The tow truck. The tow truck.
To help us because, luckily enough, we got stuck in the mud today. So, we just have that side drama. There's always side dramas. But tonight, 2 truths, 1 lie. Is it getting hard to tell which is which? So tonight, we're only got one thing we wanted to let you know about that we've got that's an exciting new service that we're offering, and that is joining our Gold Club. So this is one of our new systems we're going to be developing over the next month or so during the retrograde, but we've opened our first layer, which is the golden membership. And through that, you're going to get my monthly divine timing PDF. So there's one every month that I put together, and when you join and become a member, you get this for free every month. So as soon as you join, and the link is here on the screen, you go and join, you'll get that link, and it gives you so much information about the coming month, things to look for, how to plan around the Mercury retrograde. It's a really great timing guide, and it is for free if you join. If you would just like that guide, you can always go to my Fourth Wall website and purchase that as well. But that is the new thing, so go and check that out. It is in the description, and if it's not, it will be in the description after I post this live. And then on that, Mike, do you want to finish up with our shows?
Yeah. So join us live. Subscribe to on YouTube. Subscribe to Breathe Within Yoga, as well as I Am YouTube Famous. We have 4, and turn on those notification bells because we have 4 live shows every single week. Tonight, it's Monday. It's 2 reels, 2 truths and a lie. 7 p.m. Eastern always. Thursdays, honestly though, it's like our news show, I believe. It's always we bring up the news stories that you never really hear about. That's how I'm going to put it there. 7 p.m. Eastern. Saturday is YouTube Visibility University, where we teach business owners, content creators how to get started. We demystify YouTube and content creation. We teach you what tools to use to get started and be very efficient with it. Always 9 a.m. Eastern on Saturdays. And Sundays is the Breathe Within Yoga Show, the weekly energy forecast at 7:11 p.m. Eastern.
So make sure you go and subscribe to us on YouTube at Breathe Within Yoga and at I Am YouTube Famous, or just sub or like wherever you're watching us, because we're all over the place. So do join us, and we will be live again on Thursday. So we'll see you on Thursday for our Honestly Though episode. And until then, have a wonderful night.
Have a good night.
Bye.